Hi. Hi, Dani. This is Sadie from Continuing the Conversation with Sadie. How are you today?
Hi, Sadie. It's such an honor to be here and co create this space with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to explore care through the lens of lived experience, emotional intelligence, and the everyday practices that help us build more compassionate communities. Today I'm joined by Dani Margeaux, who works bridges the mystical and the deeply human side of things come together. Dani is a soul activator and a grid worker who guides people in awakening their soul's remembrance so that they can live their most fulfilled, aligned lives. She works with modalities such as how do you say your yoga? Sorry,
Akashic Records. No
thank
worries.
you. I
Yeah.
couldn't say that. And cosmic galactic frequencies, channeling guidance that empowers her students to claim their full power with love, compassion, and acceptance. Her work helps people shine their inner light, transmute fear into love, and reconnect with the truth that our core soul frequency is unconditional love. Through somatic, emotional, mental, behavioral, and unconscious clearing, paired with life healing, DNA upgrades, and light code activations, Dani supports profound transformation across multiple layers of being. Her belief is simple yet powerful. Life is meant to be lived full on. Hear to that. And she partners with her clients to help them embody that truth. I'm delighted to welcome her into this space today. Welcome, Dani.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing work. We're going to start off with my first section that I like to talk to everybody about, and that's foundations and values and where we begin. So my first question to you would be, you work across so many different realms, somatic, energetic, cosmic, and ancestral. What core values guide you as you move through all these different layers of healing?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Yeah. So, my core values are authenticity, compassion,
Lovely.
vulnerability, and community. And I think
Yeah.
the truth, it's uncovering who you are in the truth of who you are at a soul level, which, as you just read, is unconditional love. And so when I do connect to myself in this physical world, in my emotional, and mental, astral, spiritual realms, I always come from the place of for my highest good and the highest good of the collective. And so it's really perceiving the clarity, the wisdom, everything that I'm taking in. It's not just for me. I'm in this world to, make myself and the world be a better place, but like how can I be the inspiration and be that connection and that vessel and that bridge so that it's the
Mm-hmm.
highest good for everyone. It's not just about me. And so that's really the view that I take. And by uncovering my authenticity, my vulnerability, things that I am working through, it often helps others in maybe expanding or inspiring them. And it's a ripple effect, right? Once we
Yeah.
light up and connect to God, universe, source, whatever you believe in, we are
Mm-hmm.
able to have that ripple effect of compassion and love and all those beautiful, themes and core values.
Yeah. I sort of think of it as like for like. If you're positive, everyone else is positive. And this is the one thing we do forget as we move through life. The simple, straightforward things that are staring us right in the face, we quite often miss. We get so busy with life, don't we? You describe your work as helping people, which you clearly do, activate their soul's remembrance. What does that foundation look like in practice for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this what I like to describe, I'm a healer, but I'm not the one healing, my clients or students. I'm just creating a vessel or container of unconditional love with the tools that I have for them to do the healing. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
do is I bring love, I bring acceptance, I bring a different perspective for that person to do the introspection. So what does that mean, right? So
Yeah.
oftentimes I work
Yeah.
on the whole mind body spirit. So if you want to start at the
Yeah.
physical level, Our bodies hold trauma, emotions, energy, and
Yep.
oftentimes 97% of what we believe in was ingrained into our system before the age of 7, and that's often, due to religion, our parents, household, the community, etc. So for me, I'm age 36. The things I believe in now weren't what I believed in at the age of
Yeah.
7. So if I
Things change,
hadn't,
don't they?
yeah, and so it's
Yeah,
really bringing just
absolutely.
awareness through curiosity for my clients of like, do you still have that belief around money that you have to work really hard for money like your mom did? Is that your belief or is it not? Or do you feel like you're not worthy to take up space and speak your truth? Is that your belief or was that your mom's or your dad's or your brothers or your sisters, right? And so it's really bringing awareness to the beliefs of, how you're living through life.
Yeah.
95% of how we move through our thoughts, our voice, our thoughts, our narratives, our behaviors are
Mm-hmm.
unconscious. And so only
Yeah.
5% of what we think is actually how we move through the world. And so really uncovering that unconscious. And then it's, you have the awareness, but now it's bringing that compassion, forgiveness for yourself. This is a lot of that inner child work, right? Where you're honoring that version of you at 15 who felt very, couldn't go out, couldn't date, couldn't, like, you had to just be so boxed in, and whatever you were going through at that moment, that was just my, at 15 I wasn't allowed to go out, I had to study, I wasn't allowed to date, I wasn't allowed to have a freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like honoring all these versions of you through forgiveness and compassion. And a good statement I like to use is, I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding that I maybe couldn't take up space or I wasn't good enough to take up space. The truth is, like, what is your truth? That I am beyond worthy to take up space. I am worthy by just existing. And so through this compassionate self forgiveness statements, we are able to move into aligned action where,
Yeah.
from that aligned place of compassion and forgiveness for yourself, right? Giving your inner critic, more compassion, kindness, then
Yeah.
you're able to move in a more aligned place from that space of inspiration. Yes.
No, I love that. And I associate that because obviously I'm learning as well as my listeners about this. So I'm going with you. And if I don't know something, I'm just going to say, what's the word? What does that mean? Because I'm sure if I'm thinking it, somebody else's. Um, that it's very much about feeling safe enough to express what I call your true north. But that takes a lot of work to get there. But it's well worth it in the end. But yeah, it's to have someone like you in their corner to enable them to do that is life changing. When you think about the roots of your work, your own awakening, your training, your lived experiences, what feels most foundational to the way you show up today?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Uh, my journey, yeah, my what foundationally is trusting yourself. I think trusting myself through the 20 years of searching for my purpose is what really guided me to that next step, to that next step, to that next step. And it's not having to know like every step. That's not the point of human reincarnation, right? As we have 100 years to live out our purpose. And if we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure it out at the age of 20 or 30, then what's our 40s for and 50s for and 60s for and 70s and 80s and 90s, right? And so just having that trust within yourself and the universe, God, source, that there is this like bigger plan at play, and that if I have curiosity over something, like I want to change. So for me, I was in the 9 to 5 for over a decade, and I bought a house when I was 27. I traveled to 20 countries before the age of 30. I had boyfriends, had great friends, I worked out a lot. And so for me, my life looked so rich, but
Mm.
there was something missing. And so I
Yep.
listened to that, gut feeling that, like,
Yeah.
keep
Your
searching,
true
keep
north.
searching.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that led me to a career coach, that led me to 4 different jobs that still weren't right, which led me to a
Mm.
medium who told me I should do Reiki. And that
Mm-hmm.
opened my world to the Akashic records, the
Yeah.
connection we have to the
You find
unseen
yourself.
world, and our
Mm-hmm.
spirit guides. And so continue trusting your intuition. I think trusting yourself is like where to start. That's the foundation. That's the truth of all of it. And that's what's going to lead you to that next step.
Absolutely. So based on what you just said, I'm just thinking you've obviously found your true north. So what would um did you say you're 36?
Yes.
That what would 36-year-old Dani say to 26-year-old Dani right now?
That you are exactly where you're meant to be and that you are doing everything right, and continue to trust your choices because every choice you're making is correct. Even if you feel like, oh,
Yeah.
was a bad decision, maybe your soul wanted to experience that lesson so that you can
Yeah.
come out on the other side more evolved and expanded and intellectual. And oftentimes, like, what you heal through is what you teach through. And so
Yeah.
maybe, what you're going through, there's going to be clients there who need your help and your guidance because you just went through this thing. And so for me, I was looking for my purpose for over a decade, and then opened my psychic gifts, spiritual gifts, and now do energy work as well as somatic,
Mm,
physical, subconscious reprogramming. And so now I'm able to help students re-remember their gifts that they have cultivated for lifetimes, and help them just embody and anchor that trust for themselves
that
and the gifts and
grounding.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. That's wonderful, and I think that's a good thing that for a lot of people to ask themselves when they get into their mid-30s, mid-40s, what would you tell your younger self? And I think that would help everybody be a little bit kinder to themselves because you realize actually life's not linear and you will get there in the end. It will be okay. Um, with regards to what I'm quite big on emotional intelligence because I think it's such an important skill and we all sort of develop it within time at different times of our lives. So, with regards to emotional intelligence, it obviously plays a huge role in your work, especially when guiding people through fear, expansion, and transformation. How do you define emotional intelligence in the context of your soul work?
Yeah, so emotional intelligence is empathy. It's the frequency of someone and holding space for that energy. And this is really a beautiful topic because I'll speak on it from the lens of like the spiritual space, where I would go into a room, I would go into like Starbucks or the coffee shop or the restaurant, and I would feel the energy of like if a fight had just happened, or feeling the energy of like a friend who's like very sad, and what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation? And before this life, this spiritual leadership life, I would think that, oh, I need to tell them what to do, or I need to give them advice, and I need to like do this or be this
Mm,
person. And that's not what having
no, no,
high
it's not.
emotional EQ is. It's listening, it's holding space without judgment, and just seeing someone, accepting them for who they are, exactly who
Yeah.
they are in that moment. And if you are able to offer them that, wow, how life
Yeah.
can change. And I've,
I think this is how
yeah,
me and you connected, didn't we? Through this. Yeah.
yeah,
I definitely
yeah.
feel it and I knew it at the time. Yeah. Definitely. We very similar like that. Um with again, we're still on emotional intelligence, very important topic. You support clients through very what I call deep, profound transitions, releasing limiting beliefs, in, integrating new frequencies, healing past life patterns. What emotional skills or capacities do you find yourself teaching most often? Is there like a pattern to what you're doing?
So I have a lot of people who come to me, they're in transition. So whether they're going through a
Mm,
divorce or
yeah,
they're moving or they want to leave
exactly.
their nine
Big
to five and
life
start, yeah,
changes.
huge life
Mm,
changes that they need clarity or support on. And so I'll bring it back to the trust, but it's deeper than that. A lot of people, like workers, way showers, they give love, they want to help the world. And so they are giving and giving and giving. And what I've found is that when you are giving, 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 like this is part of like, I'm going to give you advice, I'm going to tell you what to do, right? If you actually sit and just listen and receive And so that could be give yourself love, give yourself space to process, give yourself what you've been giving other people, right? Giving yourself that space, giving yourself that compassion, giving yourself that just acceptance without judgment, which I know the
Yeah.
inner critic, right, can be very loud. If you offer yourself that, that is liquid gold, because then you have this bigger capacity and higher frequency to give more and hold more space and have a higher EQ. So I think it's really a cycle of like what you are giving others, like how are you able to provide that for yourself?
Yeah. So perfect, because this is how I understand emotional intelligence, that it's a two-way process. And again, I love the expression of how can you help someone else fill their cup when yours is empty? So emotional intelligence is only at its best, like you just really well said, when you are compassionate to yourself and you're, within yourself, you're strong. Um, yeah, that was brilliant. I love that. Holding space for people at such a profound level can both be beautiful and intense. So, how do you maintain your own emotional boundaries and well-being while doing this work? Now, that's an
This is a
important
big
one.
one. Yeah, this is
Mm.
a big one. And so I'll list off a couple things. I think learning energetic protections is a really big factor of it. And I think starting with this could be really beautiful. So, energetically, like I would go into work and I had a boss who was just mean, not good,
Mm.
just like really
Didn't get
toxic.
it.
And he would
Yeah.
sit behind me. I would like be sitting at my desk, and by the end of the day my desk, my like chest would be flat against my desk, like so pushed back because of his energy, because I was so sensitive and I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath, right? And so creating rituals for yourself so that you can ground into your energy is going to be the most important thing. So for me, I ground every morning. What does that mean? You can actually go outside, put your feet in the grass if you physically want to do that. For me, I energetically do that. So I envision, universal life force energy. This could be a ball of gold light above your head. Envision it going through your chakras, the main, meridian of your body, and then envision it coming out, from the root or
Yeah.
your base of your spine, going down through the earth, right? The hardwood, the cement, the rocks, the crystals, the magma to the center of Mother
Yes.
Earth.
Mm.
Yes. And like, I know your
Yeah.
listeners know this, right? And so that's like part one, placing the intention and asking for support from the unseen world for me is part two. So it's like, please allow me to stay in my energy and call in my guides to help support me and being in my own energy. So, energetic protections protocol: when you leave a situation, you can go shower and envision all the energy coming off of you. You can I call back all my power from all timelines, dimensions, spaces, and realms, and I release all energy that is not mine, that's not in my highest good. I know I said it quite quickly because that is just ingrained in me. Every day I say that. So, you can use, if you're watching the video, selenite to like kind of wipe it off. You could use sage, you can
Crystals.
use palo santo, yeah, crystals, like
Mm.
whatever works for you. Create
Yeah.
a protocol that works for you and continue to do it consistently until you are able to actually ensource your own energy within you. So now I use my internal sun. Yeah, and
No,
I
that's brilliant. I was just thinking about someone being in an office then, just from a jovial point of view, with a big wad of sage, burning it through the office, and the fire detectors going off, and it was like, oh my God. Um, with that thought in mind, I think what I was thinking is that sometimes, especially when I'm talking about work now, say for example, you are in an office and you are getting this horrible caged feeling like you just can't escape this horrible energy. Sometimes, do you think with your expertise and your level of skill, do you think it's sometimes best just to get out? It might not be the right environment for you because over time, whatever grounding you do, you might be better off somewhere else. It could be leading you to a different uh, location, vocation, whatever. What do you think?
100%. You're spot on. Like for me, I dreamed of this job. I manifested this job during the pandemic. It was my dream. I
Yeah.
wanted a bike to work. And the way they spoke to me in the interview, it felt really collaborative and open-minded. And when I got there, it was not that. So within 6 months, I was out of there. You know, if you have that inkling, if you have that inkling that this is not the space for you and there's something more out there, search
Yeah.
for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
This
Go
is the
for it.
biggest thing. People are scared to leave their job because they don't know of the
Exactly. Yeah.
unknown. But
And I understand that.
the unknown is
Totally
better than what
understand
you're
that.
doing and what you're living in now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust me.
No, I just want the listeners to know these are brilliant techniques, but you don't have to stay in a situation if it's not right for you, because the mental consequences of that are quite severe if you just believe walking on the grass or imagining things is going to sustain you. It's a short-term relief, but the long term is about doing what you really intuitively believe is you and learning who you are, isn't it? From what you've been saying,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, working towards that alignment with yourself and
Yeah,
your soul. Absolutely.
perfect. Okay, so we're going to lead from that into what's called reflective care, because that's what we're leading into now, which is um, some people see it as a mirror. I think you've got to be careful with that, because if somebody's quite critical of themselves, they might not like the image of a mirror. Um, but with reflective practice, it is essential for sustainable care. It has to be done. So, what does reflective care mean to you in the context of soul activation and multidimensional healing?
What's coming through for me is like, I think what you're referring to is the concept that like we are a mirror of everyone else and what we are triggered by or
That's right. Yeah,
inspired
from a
by
spiritual point of view.
is within us, right? And so I know your listeners already know this, but from a spiritual space, that can also be maybe someone has like super intuitive gifts and they just have this platform where they speak with clarity and this charisma and you are inspired by that
Yeah,
what you view in them, you have that within you. So how are you going to unlock that
perfect.
within yourself and working through that? Yeah.
That is so important what you've just said, because somebody who's highly critical of themselves, the way you've just put that, because you are a professional, is really positive. They're not going to see it. I think a lot of people run away from reflective care, but actually, it's really, really essential. It's the foundation to whatever you do. Doesn't matter where you are in social care, it's essential, because that's how you develop and grow. So that was absolutely brilliant. I love that. A lot of your work helps people slow down enough to notice their patterns, their stories, and the energetic imprints they're carrying. How do you guide clients into that level of awareness?
First off, I energetically like market my space. So I have like a Google Docs form where someone fills out and it says, "Are you like ready for this? Is this a full body yes?" Because my containers are 6 months long. Because this is
Right.
devotion, this is dedication. And so, just knowing like no one has come into my program that wasn't ready or wasn't devoted. And so
So
that
it's
that is already,
consensual.
yeah, that's already like kind of
Yeah.
a level of like openness that, my clients are coming into. So with that level of openness, we do a framework of really like what is your goal? What is your one goal? If there was one goal at the end, and it should be a very grounded one, right? So I want to leave my divorce without missing my ex. Right? That could be like the goal, but obviously within that there's grieving of the past version of you, the
Yeah.
identity, right? There's creating a vision for what you want your life to look like. There's reprogramming that beliefs if you have a kid of what your new family dynamic is going to be versus your old one. Maybe seeing the patterns that you had of like maybe not feeling good enough or worthy enough in this space or worthy of love. That's a big one. Losing yourself. So it's finding the end goal and working backwards of what those beliefs are that have created or cultivated this like unhappiness that you have. And it's like working towards that happiness, bliss, fulfillment, inner peace and harmony.
So it's navigation, and
Yeah.
it could be quite traumatic. I mean, I'm thinking of things like PTSD, which is very common, isn't it? For ex-army. as well. But that also could be related to a divorce or a death or loss. So that's incredible work. And those words you've used, when it comes to working backwards, they're enormous. They're big things in people's lives, and we're not taught at school how to manage this. So we need professionals who are experienced, like yourself, dedicated, professional, to guide us through it and to actually make us feel safe as we. It's almost like the birthing process, isn't it, spiritually, where you're trying to sort of get through the other side in good condition. So that's fantastic.
I want to expand just on that a little bit. I am a trauma informed coach. And so, a lot of times with PTSD or trauma, big T or little t, you don't have to relive the memory in order to heal it. You just have to heal the emotion, the anger, the resentment of what you're currently feeling. So, just to say, because a lot of people have a lot of fear around the trauma that they had, and you don't actually have to relive that memory. It's just what you're still carrying with you, is what we are addressing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's hard work. So thank God. Thank God for people like you. Um, so without breaking confidentiality, can you share a moment where reflective care created a meaningful shift for someone you were supporting?
Yeah, so I'll say, like, let's say her name is Charlie, and she was going through a divorce, and she was still living with her partner, her ex, who she had already told, was they were gonna get divorced, they were separating, and she did a lot of inner child work with us. We went into the Akashic records and we did a lot of inner child work for the versions of her that wanted to stay, the versions of her that didn't feel good enough to leave. And
I'm
so
sorry.
that's less mirror work and more like inner child, but just bringing compassion to that version of her and gaining that strength within to like really see what she wanted with clarity, and understanding that she had the strength to give that to herself.
Did she find it quite hard to go through the layers, going from where she was to where she is now and back to where she was? Or was she
Absolutely.
quite okay with it all?
So it's I don't want to discourage anyone who is on this path, but I will say this was like a 6 month process of, and it's healing, like you said in the beginning. It's not linear. So there's
No.
days that she felt strong and she was like, I feel like I'm going to speak my truth to my ex, and I'm going to, reach out to my sister, see if I could live in her basement. And then there was these moments that like, oh, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to give him all the alimony he's asking for. And then there was other moments,
Yeah.
where, oh, I feel strong again. So I think it's like giving her showing up every day, her level of commitment, whether she wanted to be there or not, right? She knew that this was the path through that resistance. And I applaud her so much because she left, and now it's like I saw her post, she's like in Costa Rica having the time of her life. So
Oh, right.
just
It
like,
has been okay then, and she
yeah,
didn't.
creating, that new family dynamic. And that's okay to live with her sister and, raise her baby girl with her cousins,
Yes.
and that's okay. And so just going through that process, she just was so open. And I think just with time and commitment, you can get there. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's good. I'm really glad you were able to help her because it sounds like a very challenging situation. Um, with regards, so that leads really nicely onto my next section, which is all about resilience, which is obviously what that lady had in the bucket loads at the end of the day, and she obviously learned that going through the process. Um, and also, I'm going to bring in the future of care with resilience because I think it ties it up nicely. You've supported people through deep fear, identity shifts, and major energetic transitions, as you've so beautifully described. What have these experiences taught you about resilience?
Everyone is more powerful and resilient than they think and that they give themselves credit for. And kind of what you're talking about, the mirror work, the reflective work, utilizing that to see that power, that
Yeah,
sovereignty within them, is just so powerful. And so in this time of chaos, especially, so I'm in the United States, and I this is the news I'm seeing. I'm sure there's so much in other parts of the world. I know there is, but coming back to just yourself and what impact you're making in your life can help kind of tip the scale of when you are like feeling so helpless with what's
Mm,
going on in the world. So just really anchoring in that power and like that you are making a difference, even if it feels like
yeah.
you're only making one person's different, a difference
Yeah.
in one person's world.
No, that's pretty. I was thinking a million and one things when you were talking then, because I think resilience is such a broad word for so many different examples of things. And you are right, we all are a lot stronger than we think we are. When you look at the future of care, so personal, relational, collective, and energetic, what gives you hope?
Yeah, I've seen a upturn of conscious awakening on this planet in the
Yeah,
last 3 years. Since the pandemic, people were
yeah,
forced
me
to get
too.
still, get quiet, and really be reflective and introspection spective. And so the way consciousness wants to go is for more people to awaken. What does awaken mean? Just bring awareness to your life
Yeah,
and the situation
yeah.
you had, and give yourself power to know you can change your reality. And I have seen this
It's
in
massive,
in
isn't it?
waves. Yes,
Yeah.
massive. And this is powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful. And I've heard my teenage daughters call it the woke generation, which I
I
love.
love that.
I think it's so true. Like, and you see so many more independent people, news reporters, journalists, and they're like, people wake up. We're not tied to anything. This is what's really going on. And you just see it in any industry now. And it's amazing because you can actually find information now that is really genuine with no hidden agenda. And the people who aren't genuine are getting found out in the papers, as you know, with the UK and the royal family and everything going on at the moment. Um, so it's good because it means that people aren't able to hide in the shadows as long as they could before. But also, it on an individual basis, me, you, everybody else, we're able to have so much more freedom to do what we really, really want to do and follow our true north and take on board the advice of people like yourself to guide us, which means we can do an even better job. So I love that. I feel quite optimistic about the future. And with you saying that, I think that just supports that even more. What practices or mindsets do you believe will matter most for the next generation of carers, leaders, and healers stepping into higher frequency living?
I think the shift is happening where the energy, instead of giving it to others, which is very important, it's giving it to yourself. Filling what you were talking about, filling your cup. So that unconditional compassion for yourself when your inner critic, or that when you judge yourself, it's offering yourself acceptance of who you are as part of your wholeness. You are whole just the way you are. And I think it's shifting from like, let me give, let me help the world, let me help myself first. And that's very empowering. And when every person can fill their cup from that place of like heart-led intention, the world's going to shift in a beautiful way.
I absolutely love that. I think that's a great way to finish this conversation. I think you've just encompassed everything so beautifully. So thank you very, very much for that. I've struggled to understand some of the big words myself. So thank you for my education as well as my listeners. As we bring the conversation to a close, I want to honour the depth and clarity you've shared with us today. You've offered such a powerful perspective on what it means to care, not just for our human selves, but for our energetic, emotional, and soul level selves as well. Your reflections on values, emotional intelligence, reflective practice, and resilience remind us all that transformation is something we build through presence, intention, and the courage to return to love again and again. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your compassion, which is in the bucket loads. It's shining off you as I talk to you, and your light into this space. It's been a privilege to sit with you and explore the many layers of your work. This has been Continuing the Conversation with Sadie. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other and keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep caring. Thank you.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Sadie. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. Take care.